Alan, you know, it's kind of like I get speechless, man, when I think of you sometimes, because like I just have so much gratitude for the simple fact that you exist. Alan is a pioneer of this awareness that we're now undergoing on the planet. He has done, if not the first, but some of the first interviews with some of the most profound paradigm shifting people on the entire planet. And a lot of people, I think, wonder how come he's in the right place at the right time always? Maybe he's bilocating, he just exists everywhere at once. But the information that he's done and the work that he's put in and his authenticity, his ability to communicate unconditional love for people really shows in all the work that he does. And he keeps going on and moving forward and forward and forward, unraveling different aspects of the evolution of consciousness that we're now undergoing. And as he does that, really provides a platform for individuals to step into their true potential and just remember who they really are, because that's ultimately what it is, the remembrance game that we're undergoing. But with everything that he's done, he continues to move forward, and I'm just so happy and blessed that I get the opportunity to work with him more than any other individual. Like I work with Alan quite a lot. And his inspiration that he's provided me definitely is a good percentage of what Portal Ascension is now. Just his love, and then what he has done. I really just look up. Well, not look up. I look equally, I guess. I would say I give reverence. That's the best word to say. I give reverence to everything Alan has created, and just gratitude for him helping all of us really just tap into the remembrance of our divine nature. So, Alan, it's all yours, brother.
Wow, that is fantastic. I mean, thank you. I mean, I have to say, I just do what I do. And if people see it, great. I mean, I'm really happy that people have seen some of the. Actually, you inspired me, both of you, to actually start this with a little background about. I call this my electronic press kit, but I really started doing this investigation in the 80s, the early 80s, like you, Joan. So I think I've shown this before, Neil. I don't know. I hope it's not too self-indulgent, but I'm going to show you. Did you ever see my electronic press kit?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things.
All right.
So maybe.
It's a little bit of background about me and like my search
Make sure
for
you share your audio.
enlightenment. Okay. Like, can you see that on screen?
Yep.
Okay. This.
Welcome to New Realities.
Welcome to New Realities.
Welcome to New Realities.
Welcome to New Realities.
My name is Steinfeld. And on this show, I'd like to investigate the nature of consciousness, who we are on not just a physical level, but maybe a spiritual soul level. And that has to do with how we perceive the world and who we are in our dreams, in our altered states of consciousness.
Well, there are levels of reality I can discuss and levels of reality I can't discuss.
That we could transform into other planes, other dimensions, other realities.
Alternate realities, parallel realities.
Inner realities.
New realities, as your program is named, to create new realities, and based on all the things that you've never experienced before.
This is New Realities TV. I'm Alan Steinfeld with Paula Gloria from the Nevada desert at Burning Man 1999. See you next week.
Bye.
And I've been doing this program for the last 15 years, and it's about exploring the expansion of our consciousness.
Consciousness is basically a primary attribute of existence.
And when you can harness the power in consciousness, you will create your new reality.
New Realities is giving voice to the evolution of a spiritual culture that is emerging in this country.
Vatsayana, the Kama Sutra, he says, it's not the road you walk, it's the walking.
And the best communication you can ever have is the communication with the divine, because that's where you get the most support.
So what New Realities does is open that window a little wider so we can peek our heads out and see a greater possibility for who we are as human beings and what's possible for the planet.
Once we begin to expand
Yes.
our repertoire of ourselves, a lot of the old conversation falls away. And that's what's happening to everyone on this planet.
The old dramas, I mean.
The old dramas
yeah.
fall away.
Because they're
the
so
fears
boring
fall
anyway.
away.
I mean,
the fears fall away.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of going out into the cosmos. I'm not afraid of having a galactic being stand next to me. And I have had those experiences. And so my reality has shifted. And it's shifted in a way that I feel is not something that has happened to me, but that I can use. My higher self says, use life.
I'm constantly on the lookout for people who have new ideas about who they are, about new relationships.
The world would be a much better place to live if we were kinder. And what I say is turn it around. You be kind. You know, if the world is so unkind, where is the teacher of kindness?
Swami Satchidananda said that there are two ways to realize two really good paths. The first is
who gave us a whole new paradigm for evolution. We're not just the environment as a physical, I'm also you, because you're part of the environment.
Right, we're all connected as one. The environment is a connection. It is not a separation. Science and religion both fail by reducing us as something separate from the environment.
Right.
Man is created above and beyond everything else. Man is separate from... It's like, man is not separate from anything. The moment we believe man is separate is the moment we are actually on the decline of our vitality.
Alex Gray has given us new art and new visionary symbols in which to evolve our culture.
Art, in general, argues for the reality of the inner worlds. It speaks for that. And that's what we need to sort of resurrect in the 21st century, is the value of the inner worlds, that the subjective is what brings meaning and purpose to our lives.
Right now, I'm out there giving a voice to people that would not be heard otherwise, and I really enjoy it, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing, and I want as many people to hear the understanding that realities emerge as people shift consciousness, and as you shift what you believe into what Lewis Carroll says in Alice in Wonderland, I like to believe 6 impossible things before breakfast. Start to believe some impossible things.
Look at the UFO phenomenon as having developed this way. We saw these things flying around. We originally thought they were military, they were American or Russian or something. It took a while before people began to think, Lord, are they extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
Then that got accepted. But nobody wanted to think there was anybody in them. They're just machines or something. Because it's a little too scary to imagine people, beings inside these things.
These gray beings, I'm sure everyone knows who the grays are. You'd have to be in a coma not to know who the grays are at this point. With the big eyes. I was in this room and there were 4 little girls that ran over to me calling me mommy.
In Nevada, they called 395 the extraterrestrial highway, and this county in Washington, they've said it's illegal to harass or trap Sasquatch. So you've got governments.
So, by planting new ideas into people's minds, I hope that new realities will emerge. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Neil. That's a little bit of a background. Did you like that, Neil? Are you with me?
That was fantastic.
And I have seen it a couple times, but it never gets old.
You have seen it, sorry. Well, for people, but you know, it's not just me about talking to people. I really tried to gather what they were saying, and I've put it all into this book over here, Making Contact. Not all of it, but at least the people talking about the more transcendental aspects. Because when we talk about ETs, we're not just talking about beings out there. We're talking about evolving to a new level of ourselves. So with that, I'm going to show a little bit. How much time? I have another 20 minutes?
You have 30 minutes. 35.
30 more minutes.
35 minutes.
Okay, we're going to what, 4:20 here?
No, you have till 4:30, but our next thing doesn't start till 4:40, so you can go a little over even.
All right. Okay, I'm going to share the screen then. here. Okay. So I'm going to start with this slide that Shima showed, which I thought was a great way of understanding levels of reality and
Really quick,
where we're
Alan,
going.
everything is a little blurry, so maybe you need to
Is it
take
blurry?
off. Yeah,
That's
maybe you need
weird.
to take off. What is it? Video optimization tab. Maybe you click that when you
Oh,
click your screen.
click it off. Click off
Yeah,
video
yeah,
optimization.
yeah, because that makes it a little blurry.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me see if that's better. If this is better here. Is that better? Is that better, Neil?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Well, actually, I have to just put it on presenter view. No, sorry. Let me just put it on the presenter view here. Presenter view. Oh, no. Okay. I got it. All right. Let me share this and okay. Okay. One more time. I'm going to do it. Okay. Is that okay now?
Yeah,
Neil?
looks good. Uh-huh.
All right. Basically, my whole idea about new realities is that it is an internal process. Reality doesn't exist out there. There is a world out there, but all we know is our perceptions of what's out there. So what's really out in the world in front of us, there absolutely is an exterior reality, but it's still all that we take note of is what we've been programmed to see. And in this time and age, we can reprogram ourselves. It's like sometimes in my workshops, I'll give away the punchline here. I often show this video of these people playing a basketball game, and I count the number of passes that happen between a certain team wearing the white t-shirts, and they miss the whole idea of this gorilla that walks across, a guy in a gorilla's suit walks across the court, and nobody sees it, pretty much nobody, because they've been counting the passes and not looking at the bigger reality. Well, that's the same thing that happens in our world. We've been taught to see only a limited amount of possibilities. So there is this world that's knocking on our door, but we've ignored who and what is out there. So I think in order to really understand the true potential, we need to go beyond our programming. And our programming started, this level of programming of culture started with what's called the Age of Enlightenment, which wasn't really enlightenment. It was the Age of Reason, where mechanism, machines, everything was a machine. The body was a biological machine. We lived in a dead universe because we didn't see life off this planet. So life is an anomaly in this dead universe. And one of the people who put together that dead universe idea was Freud. He has this idea of the death wish, and the idea of the death wish is that everything returns to its state of origin. So if we came from a dead universe, all we want to do is return to the dead universe. But what if we didn't come from a dead universe? What if we came from what if we're here because of a great creation? What if we are here as creators? Then it would be our goal to return to creation, to be creators of this creation. And that's really the focus of this talk. We are here to be creators. We're here to emulate creation as creators. This is the key that I think will evolve us towards an ascension society, because our biology is made to evolve. Our biology is at the service of the consciousness that we are. So if we think a certain thing, like if you can't stand something, you're going to have a hard time standing. If you don't want to see something about you or others, then you're projecting that onto your body. Your body is a vehicle for ascension, but it's also a vehicle for what you tell it to be true. That's why the work of Joe Dispenza is so amazing, because he says you have to believe in your inner reality more than what the world is trying to tell you. And this brings us back to that our true eternal nature is much more encompassing than the concepts of time and space in which we define ourselves. We are not living in time and space. We are timeless beings living in a infinite, eternal existence. The remembrance of our eternal nature and our purpose for being incarnated in the earth is one of the purposes that help us create the life of evolution. See, ascension comes from a life well lived. It doesn't come from people who just want to get off the planet and be finished with this. No, you have to love every single aspect of this existence if you're going to ignite the molecular structures in your DNA and have them emit the photon resonance that will turn your body into light. That's what I think ascension is. I think Deborah Giusti is going to talk more about that after this. So one of the big influences, I think, one of the first people, we're talking about starseeds, is Ken Carey. And he, when I started to read this, even though it was written in the 70s, I realized how far ahead of his time, like 50 years ahead, he was in delivering this message of the starseeds and stars and I'll quote some of them here. Oh wait, but just getting back to the idea of creativity. Art, creativity, imagination are the evolutionary impulses. They're hardwired into us. That's why we're here. We're here to be creators. So it was actually Ken Carey who gave me this quote about our eternal nature of being. So the idea about being creators and grounding the creation into a greater existence of knowing our eternal nature. So we are eternal. Just take it for a fact or a hypothesis or whatever you want, that our true aspect is to come into these forms and give it eternal life. So, and by being creators, artists, people who know how to reflect the world out there by giving it a divine aspect, are those that are fulfilling the mission of their incarnation, basically. Socrates says the poet or the artist is a light and winged and holy thing, and there's no invention in him or her until they've been inspired out of their senses. The gods take away and utter these priceless words in states of unconsciousness, meaning that the true artist is not thinking about they're not thinking of what they're creating. They're letting the divine force flow through them, and that art is whatever we choose it to be. It might be, we think of art as painting, but it's poetry, it's speaking, it's fashion, it's dance, it's music. These are the artists that create the reflections and the evolution of our time. So, and then James Joyce, one of my favorite writers, says, "Welcome, O life, I go to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience and forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race." That was Joyce. That was the role of the artist, to forge new experiences in the incarnational plane of existence. I think of art, Marshall McLuhan, I think of art as the most distant early warning system that can always be relied on to tell the old culture what is beginning to happen. One demonstration of that is this picture of this mantis being by M.C. Escher, who is a lot of people's favorite artist. M.C. Escher was an artist who really was able to distort the flow of time-space. And of course, this is one of his famous creations where you don't know what is an up or down staircase. So as you create the unknown, new possibilities, we are bringing into the experience of human existence new sensations, new awarenesses, new understandings. So this is the role, this is why we've incarnated, not to get off the wheel of incarnation. That happens when you fulfill your destiny as a creator. So I just needed to put this understanding in the opening of my first, the introduction to my book. And I love reading this quote because every time I read it, it reminds me of the mission we're here to do, Neil, and what Portal to Ascension and what Joan and me and everyone here is really about. It's about freedom. And this quote was written in 1844, but it still is relevant for our evolution today. And it says, there are seasons in human affairs of inward and outward revolution, when new depths seem to be broken up in the soul, when new wants are unfolded in multitudes, and a new and undefined good is thirsted for. There are periods when the principles of experience need to be modified. You know what that means? The principles of experience. This is what Sheila's doing with the Wish Alliance, the principles of experience. Next line, when hope and trust and instinct claim a truth, when hope and instinct claim a share in the guidance of human affairs, when truth dare is the highest wisdom. So to dare is what we are doing here today. We're daring to think new thoughts. We're daring to uncover new possibilities, new realities. A new reality is not accepted by old paradigm. It'll be laughed at. It'll be ridiculed. It'll be ignored, mostly ignored. So the idea is each of us is here to create new realities of thought, new realities of thinking. So I developed a course for this mystery school that's going to be happening on Portal to Ascension. First, develop the creative field, and you do that with gnosis. Then you develop the psychic field of the whole self, and then the transhuman field. I don't mean transhuman in the part of artificial intelligence. I mean transhuman in the sense that we are pure energy beings, that we can ignite the physical, the matter, and turn into a wave, particle to wave. And then the transcendental field of teleportation, regeneration, ascension, universal wisdom. This is our destiny. This is really what we've come here to do, and this is why the Portal to Ascension is a launching pad for these new realities of beings, because nothing is impossible. When you say impossible, you're saying the word I'm possible. So all things are possible. And this is some of the things I'll go over here, is that we are eternal beings. We have to get out of the matrix. We have to access the power of our imagination. We do that by knowing that the right brain is equal to the left brain. Means the irrational, the part of our brain that sees patterns, is equal to the logical part of our mind that just wants to see things in sequence, in logical form, in rationality. And if we can function on both sides of our brain, we become whole brain beings, and we start to ignite the ascension codes. This is a quote from J.J. Hurtak. No longer will the dualistic mind directly and indirectly interpret the spiritual language and the proto-communication in a simplified, linear, planetary level of life and death. We're here to transcend that. We really are here to not just be superhuman. We're just here to be human in all its glory, whatever that means. We're here to get out of the dramas that have trapped humans into wars and anger and hatred and all that. And that's why I love this quote by John Kennedy. I'm certain that after the dust of centuries have passed over the cities, we too will be remembered, not for our victories or defeats in battle or in politics, but for our contribution to the human spirit. So that is what we're doing today. We are giving back. We are igniting the human spirit. Because when you do that, you stand on an even playing field with all the beings that are here to visit us. Everything that will confront you if you meet them on a spiritual level, nothing will intimidate you. No person, situation, or extraterrestrial. When you meet them on the level of spirit, you are one with them. So the problem is, this discus thrower, I think, is a great example of where we've been. In order to throw the disc far, you need to go back with your arch as far as you can, and then the further back you go as a discus thrower, the further that disc will flow or fly. So we've sunk essentially as deep as we can into the Maya of the world. We've gone and descended to the lowest levels. Here we are. This is a chart. So the first level is where we are now, at least physically. So we've involved. Involution was coming from source down into these levels and levels of frequency until we are embraced in gross matter. That's where we are. We are stuck in density, in physical density, and some people don't think there is a way out. But the way out is to go in and access the resources that are hardwired into it. And like I said, part of that is creating new realities of thought in which to raise the frequency of our body out of the density. So I say creativity is one way to rise up out of the density, and creative communities and creative exchange. And because creativity is accessing the non-local parts of our brain that are connected to all time and space. So when I teach remote viewing, you can't do that with your logical brain. You can only do it when the personality steps away and you access non-local consciousness. So evolution, which is the opposite of involution, is ascending through the planes of density. And that's encoded in the chakra system or the endocrine system right there from the first seal up to the seventh and the ones above the body. And it's encoded into our brain as we go from the reptilian, the lower cerebellum, to the frontal lobe or the neocortex, the new brain. So the idea is to access the neocortex and stop living in the lower cerebellum, which is survival. And that's as you raise up the frequencies of the endocrine glands in your body, which you can actually live off your endocrine glands. If your system was totally imbalanced and bringing in the light, you wouldn't need food. You would just need to be at peace and have the endocrine glands flow in their hormonal structure, which feeds the body. And then you start to ascend the frequencies here. So some people think this is our evolution to go up from apes to some guy sitting at a computer, but this is really our evolution, is to admit the light frequencies as we become the light beings that are encoded into our DNA genetic makeup, right? But to do that, we have to be humble, for we're made of the earth, and be noble, for we're made of the stars. That's it. So these earth bodies can turn into a star. They really can. The earth can become a star, and it happens through our physical conscious evolution. That's on one level. Another level, we're here to meet the others. We're here to jump into not a bigger fish pond, but we're here to meet more fish. I really think so. Part of the problem is, H.G. Wells said, civilization is a race between education and catastrophe. Let us learn the truth and spread it as far and wide as our circumstances allow. For truth is the greatest weapon we have. What does that mean, truth? Well, truth is what your truth is. Truth is, how do you feel? It's the eternal awakening of own conscious mind as we make sense of the greater picture. Not sense in rational ways, but sense as perceiving through an intuitive awareness the workings of creation. And when you can do that, when you sit with yourself and understand and drop into who you are, that's the next level of the ascension process. So I have a lot of that mapped out here in this, but I won't go into these 10 levels of transformation. We'll do more of that on another Portal to Ascension, but it's biological, psychological, intellectual, vibrational, cultural, because we are trapped by our culture. It's what Terence McKenna says. We're part of Terence McKenna says we're part of a symbiotic relationship with something which disguises itself as extraterrestrial so as not to alarm us. So whatever our projection is, it's not that. That's a cultural defined understanding. The planetary matrix, the solar matrix, the galactic matrix, the local universe, and the multiverse are all aspects that we are rising up to as we transform the physical body. Gary Nolan, who I hope to interview soon, says that DNA is only 4 billion years old, while the Earth is 9 billion years old. So that means that life did not originate here. Life is abundant throughout creation. Like I said, we're not living in a dead universe. We're living in a living universe. I want to go back to Ken Carey's word, which I mentioned before, is that when we define ourselves without regard to this eternal present out of which the universe unfolds, isn't that interesting? We think the universe is out there, but the universe unfolds out of the eternal presence of our own being. So when we continue to play out variations in time space and keep our eternal spirit at a distance by imagining greater and greater beings in the cosmos, then the illusions of material existence silence the awareness of spirit. That is a what would I call it? A proclamation for the awakening of who we are as beings, as true beings. So we think we live in this 3D world, but I say we really live in this fourth D. I call it the fourth dimension. Some people call it time. I call it emotionality. Everything generates an emotion. Someone calls you up and they're upset because you didn't do this or you did this. And that's the where people live. And that's all most people know about the levels of existence is emotionality. Now I'll make a distinction between emotion and feeling. Each moment, feelings are recorded in the Akashic records of our soul. Emotions are those huge bursts of feelings that can sometimes get out of control. So I say, and I quote Ken Carey again, forces that are intended to connect experience to the incarnation, physical structure, now bind and limit our perception. That means the emotionality is all we see and project on the world. But if we do that, the future becomes limited. Our vision of infinite creation is consumed beneath the emotional midst of excessive subjectivity. The emotionality of indulgent thoughts define ourselves without reference to source. This is another declaration that I think. So the problem is what this guy sitting at a bar says, hey pal, you have no idea who I think I am. That's not the sense of self we're talking about. The sense of self is not limited to your history, your body, your mind, your relationships, where you live, what people call you, your job. That is nothing to do with who we are. Those things are all great, but we have to rise up out of the identification with those limitations. This is not the goal if you work by, consume by. This is what the world, the matrix out there wants you to believe, that we define ourselves in isolation with the fear of survival. We get locked into a very small perception of reality. Cultural illusions is one, and stop this great mind from seeing fantastic worlds and understanding new realities. So we are limited by what we project onto the world. I'll fast forward this. basically, we're taught to see only this limited visible spectrum, but some people can see these higher realms of thought, the ultraviolet, the infrared. These are bands of light energy that are perceivable by the star seeds that are coming in because we are programmed to see what was higher than visible light. So as we emerge into the fifth dimension, people are having near-death experience, out-of-body experience, past life memories. This is all to tell you that we are eternal beings, that we are not limited to the body. We're here to take the body with us into the unknown levels of reality. That is really our mission as creator gods. Creator gods, because we are here to wake up and we're here to wake each other up. That's why I really love what Neil is doing, because we're here to wake each other up. My friends in Connecticut say we're here, Ascension together, or Ram Dass would say we're here to walk each other home. So how do we do this essentially? How are we doing this? Well, I had the fortune to meet John Mack, who someone on this platform said, well, he was mentioned before, but he was a Harvard psychiatrist who started to talk to people claiming to have abduction experiences. And he couldn't write it off by saying they're crazy. He had to acknowledge their experience as a reality and understand that maybe the world was not what he was taught it to be. So he said, and it was great to go for coffee with him one day, even though I don't drink coffee. He says, we're dealing with a phenomenon which violates our sense of reality and operates in the gray area between the physical world and the subjective world, meaning the objective and subjective, meaning that duality is not really the true nature of the world. Not day or night, black or white, male or female. These are the polarities that we create the world from, but that is not what the world is made of. The world is made of a whole immersion of fluid motions. It's like it goes from a wave to a particle, from yin to yang, from this to that. So we're being asked, John Mack's second paragraph, we're being asked to prove that these experiences, these UFO experiences, and these ETs exist by physical science alone. But those methods, in my opinion, Mack's opinion, will not yield its secrets until we discover other ways of knowing. Other ways of knowing is accessing the right brain and believing that what we access in those realms are possible. Here's an example. So when we come in to this existence, we have this incredible imagination. But by the time we're 5, we're taught to read and write. And nothing wrong with reading and writing. I love it. But that becomes the whole world. 1, 2, 3, ABC. And the imagination that was the most vital sense of ourselves gets blocked out. It gets thrown under the carpet. And maybe there's a few people, some people who have changed the world, have accessed this great imagination to bring us new possibilities. So, as I said before, we're here to access, to be whole brain. Now, this is a brain of human on the left and a brain of a dolphin on the right. You know what dolphins do? They just float around all day. I think they have sex 75% of the time. They eat, they swim, and they're conscious breathers. So they have a more developed brain, and they're living a pretty enjoyable life, except for humans who come and pollute the oceans and don't regard their world as sacred. Dolphin actually means brother, Delphi, dolphin. It's from the same word for womb, means that we are of the same creation. And if we want to meet intelligent creatures, all we have to do is swim with dolphins and whales. Whales are amazing. They have such huge brains. So this is the brain divided. We've only functioned on the logical part of us, but the little piece of yin inside the yang here is the ability to ask questions, to question reality. And the bit of the I would say, logic inside this right brain, intuitive sense, is our ability to see patterns. But the other thing the right brain does is access infinite levels of thought, right? So it's bringing in through this non-local mind, which the right brain has access to, infinite understanding. So thought is only program. That's only half of the program. So if I asked you what's on your computer and you didn't know there was an internet, you would think that it had to be programmed in. But if you knew you had an internet, you could access infinite non-local realms by realizing you can open up this intuitive sense. So the brain really doesn't create thought. It is a receiver of thought. Looking for consciousness in the brain is looking inside the radio for the announcer. If you open up the radio, you're just going to find wires and mechanisms. That's why neuroscientists doing work with the brain don't know where the source of consciousness is, because it's not in the brain. It's outside. The brain is a receiver. And the more you can connect neural nets of thought, the higher the frequencies you can receive. So even Tesla said, my brain is only a receiver in the universe. There's a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I've not penetrated into the secrets of this core, and I know it exists, although he did penetrate pretty far into the core. So we're about finishing up there, Neil?
Yeah, just like a couple minutes.
Okay. So the more neural nets, the more you look at the world from a higher frequency, the different the world becomes. This is some guy looking at a tomato. This is an extraterrestrial looking maybe at a tomato. I don't know. But he's looking at something. This is pictures of Tamara Jones there, who are demonstrating that we need to go beyond seeing the world as just physical and start to tune into the vibrational frequencies that exist beyond the physical world. So this is what I love, this quote here by Emerson, also in 1844, since everything in nature answers to a moral power, if any phenomena remains brute and dark, it's because that corresponding faculty in the observer is not yet activated. So meditation, going within, he likes to do Vipassana, where you're silent for 10 days. These are all ways to activate the program outside the matrix of the culture. And I just want to, let's share this. We must accept our reality as vastly as we can. Everything, even the unprecedented, must be possible within it. This, in the end, is the only kind of courage that is required of us, the courage to face the most unusual, most inexplicable experiences that can meet us. Okay, I'm just going to end with this. I think it's 3 minutes. This is, I'm not sure what this is, but here it goes. As our mind becomes more conscious, as we become more aware of the capacities of consciousness, this is bringing on what we're calling the close encounter experience, because maybe these beings are connected to an evolutionary awareness that brings in a new level of cognition. The experience of consciousness is what's going to bring on the evolutionary perspective. Meeting these other beings will help us open up our field of awareness, because we need to stretch beyond the limits of the human realm in order to meet them on the playing field that they're at. So what's the point of making contact? The point of making contact is thinking symbolically about reality. That asterisk, which means little star, is the point of contact, because they're not talking to us in words. They're talking to us in symbols of greater reality. Symbols that are geometric, that are sounds without words, light language, colors. These beings are talking to us inside our own thought form processes. So don't ignore the information that's coming to you. And I know a lot of people here don't. It's welcome these new realities. And, don't take everything that comes to you, write it all down, look at it and see if that's the reality you want to create. But you have a choice here. So the point of making contact is that we can connect with a great intelligence by being the great intelligence, by knowing that we have this eternal source in us. And it is the frequency of creation, that we are being born anew inside a new cosmos, that we can generate this light body to break out of the earth creation and know that we're masters of the universe once again. Then we turn our bodies into light, into frequency, into the pure essence of who we are on all levels of existence, right there, from body to light to higher frequencies. And that's sort of part of what we're doing. I also want to say part of making contact is something me and Deborah Juicy are putting together coming up. It's called Making Contact, Disclosure, and Cosmic Awakening. It's a 5-part series that will be an exclusive online process, and these 5 specific classes will take us through what's going on. I start with J.J. Hertak and Desiree and Grant Cameron to give us an overview. Then we go into where is life in the universe, the Webb telescope. Then I get people like Lou Elizondo and go into the deep dive disclosure, and then the secrets of the ET presence, Whitley Strieber, Linda Moulton Howe, and then Starseed Rebellion with Marina Gura and a few other people that are coming on. And Deborah, you want to say anything about that show that we have putting together? Wait, you're muted. Unmute. I don't want to miss anything.
Hi, Alan. Good to see you and good to see everyone here. And I just post our links in the chat room so people can stay connected with us on that. And yeah, Alan's been doing this forever, I think many lifetimes. So I'm here to support him in this mission and really get this book live so we can experience all the incredible speakers that he brought together in that book are going to come and be with us live.
That's right. Here.
And
more. I mean, this is an overview of the phenomena that I don't think it's been done, from the nuts and bolts hard disclosure to the conscious evolution of starseeds themselves. Wouldn't you say, Deborah? And Ascension, like you're talking about.
Yes, the new realities of disclosure and cosmic awareness.
So sign up in that link, and we're going to send out the actual registration page once we confirm all these speakers, but it should be happening in June. It's a lot to pull these people together, but it's really, really fun process. And Deborah is just a fantastic being to work with, so connected, and such a hard worker. I mean, you texting me at like 5 in the morning saying you're up for the day, or 4 in the morning, Deborah, you inspire me.
Well, I think a lot of us are doing a lot right now, so we're all doing it. And
definitely.
The website is makingcontactseries.com. So we've got Alan there, I guess.
Right. No, I'm sorry. We've been put to sleep. So, Deborah, I'm really happy for your work and assistance in this, because you are putting energy into waking people up, like Neil, like everyone. So it's been an honor to be here, share space with you, Deborah and Neil and Joan.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for your presentation.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Deborah.
Are you gonna